Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
This is the end of our first week of saying hello on 9 o'clock every morning. So we wanted to address a few things. We wanted to start with, now in our country, there's so many different faiths, which I love about our country. It makes it so rich. The fabric of our country is so rich. Traditionally, I know in the Christian community, we don't identify with Christianity or any particular faith specifically. But a lot of people cannot go to church. Yesterday, they probably could not go to temples. I'm not sure on Islam what days specifically, if there's a specific day they worship, or Hindu, or many other faiths. I'm just naming some of the more prominent ones. Buddhist temples don't have a specific day, but we know that this is a day for a lot of Christians to go to church, and they can't. They're not. They're advised not to due to quarantining and social distancing. So we thought we'd take this opportunity to talk about something that will maybe we go to church, those who go to church or temples or otherwise. I think part of it is they want to have a spiritual connection. They want to feel it emboldens their faith in whatever their faith is. And so when we're not able to share that with others in a church or temple setting, we're left to do it on our own. So because of the social distancing, we thought today would be a good day to talk about meditation, and that could go on for hours for a lot of people. People think that meditation has an Eastern component to it. It does, partially, but there is a huge, huge tradition of Christian contemplation, of silence and sitting in silence and sitting in meditation. I don't know what other, that's the word. It's funny, meditation comes from the same root as medicine, mediate. There's that same prefix. Partially, it means to heal. And there's a lot of different Sanskrit words. Laura just spent 4 days, a couple months ago, learning Sanskrit. So I don't know all.
I didn't get through all of it,
yeah,
as you can imagine.
I don't know all the Sanskrit. I asked her if she knew Sanskrit for can I get a bente latte. So
that's not Sanskrit?
Oh, that's Italian, right? That's
right.
So.
No, that's just Starbucks. Link.
Yes. So
and I
go ahead, please.
I was looking up some research about people that go to their places of worship and why they go. And Rick had mentioned that closer connection to whoever your
right.
higher power is, really. And also 66% of the people that were polled said they go in times of trouble, in times when they're looking for help, when
right.
things might be difficult. And I think that this time period definitely falls into that category.
Yeah.
So there's lots of online church options as well. But we wanted to focus on some deep breathing and meditation. Sometimes people are very intimidated by the word meditation, and it really, let's just call it breathing then, because that's essentially one of the main components, and one of the components that's going to very much help you with your health and your body, your mind, and your spirit.
Right.
So research has actually shown that meditation or deep breathing helps out with our inflammation response. It helps out with our immune system, and it also helps out with all different things like calming and stress relief.
Lowering blood pressure.
Yeah, lowering blood pressure. It also has been linked to better concentration if people are having a hard time with attention. Sometimes it's hard to focus with all this news coming at you.
Right, for sure.
And there's just so many benefits. And let's just talk about our lungs. With this going on, with this whole COVID piece, our lungs are under attack. So this deep breathing is going to really help you out with keeping your lungs healthy.
Yes.
As well as keeping our minds calm. So there's a really simple technique called diaphragmatic breathing, and it's basically just deep breathing. And sometimes when we're stressed, we go into this response of this very shallow breathing just in our lungs. And that is something that happens, and it's not quite as beneficial as doing the deep diaphragmatic breathing. And a nice tool for that diaphragmatic breathing is placing a hand on your chest and one hand on your stomach and taking in your breath. And if you can feel that your stomach is actually moving on your breath, you actually don't usually feel your hand over your lungs moving very much at all during this deep breathing. When you feel the inhalation and exhalation, you feel your stomach actually moving, then you know you're getting in a deep breath, okay? So, and one of the wonderful techniques is to inhale through the nose and actually exhale through the mouth. So practicing that, and sometimes it seems a little bit unusual because we're used to more shallow breathing, or maybe we're not even used to thinking about our breathing. But if you could take something like 5 minutes a day and just give that a whirl and practice that, you're going to notice a difference. And after your body gets used to it, when you're in a stressful situation, you can actually come to that place where you practice deep breathing, and it's going to actually help calm you down. So it's just a great technique. We talked about the microcosmic orbit earlier in the week with the breathing.
Right, the breathing.
And this is just a simple breathing technique that you can do on your own. So
may I add something to that?
Yeah.
I read this great quote once, because we both have had a history of meditation, more Buddhist based, I would say. And I read this great quote. It said, "The first thing we do when we come into the world is inhale, and the last thing we do when we leave the world is exhale. And there are millions of breaths in between." I thought that was just such a great quote, because it's so true, like Laura was saying. You've heard the term monkey mind. There's it feels like there's a river of thoughts going through our heads, and I quite honestly, of 35 years of meditating, think it's nearly impossible to empty the mind. So don't worry about that stuff. I think Laura's point is so well said, is that just breathe. We've done a lot of breathing with our work with our patients. I've had patients who couldn't get pregnant because they were speeding through life, and I realized one of my first fertility patients was just calming them down, having them do deep breathing, and 6 weeks later she was able to get pregnant. She had been trying to get pregnant for like 3 years. Very healthy otherwise, but it was just she hadn't slowed down enough her life enough to do that. So it's not like I had some magical touch, but we just taught her to do this breathing that Laura was just talking about.
Yep, and your breath work is really going to affect every area of your life. We talked about the emotional aspect and calming down with stress, and the physical aspect, helping out with the immune system. It is just such a simple tool, and one way we wanted to help you out today is, if you're interested in using a meditation app, I highly recommend them, especially when you're first getting started. Although we've been doing it for a long time, and I still really enjoy using my meditation apps. I think that they're wonderful tools. There's so many options. There's one in particular called Calm, C-A-L-M. If you're interested in doing a free month trial, you can just leave a comment below saying yes, and I will actually message you with some information for that. As a healthcare practitioner, I have access to that, and I would love to share it with everyone and bring everybody to meditation and breath work. And Calm has so many different aspects to it. There's actually, they have these different series. There's one that helps out with healthcare workers. There's one that helps out with college students. You can work on anxiety, mindful eating. There are even sleep bedtime stories.
Yes, those are cool.
That's one of my favorite. There's sleep bedtime meditations. One for when you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't fall back asleep. That's kind of a wonderful sleep one. And also one drifting off to sleep with gratitude. That's a beautiful one as well. But an all-time favorite is the sleep story read by Matthew McConaughey. So if you want to fall asleep with that.
The cool dude that he is. And one thing, like I've come home from work sometimes, it's been a busy day, some tough things happened at work with some patients that got bad news, and I just needed to just clear my mind, and I used the Calm app. I just they have rain, they have a mountain stream, they have ocean waves, and I just put ocean waves on for like 3 minutes and just sat there, and it really just, no pun intended, washed over me, and literally was just what I needed to come back, so.
And
that's on so many different variations, as Laura said, so.
If you're just starting your practice, there's an option to meditate for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes. I would recommend when starting out with the 10-minute daily Calm. It's a new meditation every day, and it covers different topics. And wonderfully, oftentimes the topic is exactly what I need that day. All right.
It's like reading your horoscope. You read that, you go, wow, it's like they wrote it for me.
Yes.
Something like that.
So just leave a comment. If you'd like to try it out, say yes, and we'll send that over to you.
Can I say one thing about the breathing? When I taught meditation class, I've heard this a lot, and people said, oh my gosh, I've been breathing improperly the whole time. As Laura said, when you put one hand on your abdominal area, one on your chest, as you inhale, imagine pushing your hand away through your diaphragm. When we inhale, we don't inhale and compress our diaphragm, we expand our diaphragm. So the inhale is out, exhale comes in. That's, I think, important to know.
Oh, I think so too. And the diaphragm, when you're moving that diaphragm up and down, you're actually massaging your internal organs, which actually helps out with digestion and just gets the circulation flowing, which we really want that. And you're creating this large cavity for your lungs to expand with air as well. So do the deep breathing.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
I hope this helps.
Yeah, I think tomorrow our topic is going to be setting yourself up for a really healthy week. All right?
All right.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Happy Sunday. Wishing you a calm one.
Yes. Take care.